I've talked to a lot of single parents recently, and the one common theme that I can say is that we often think that we're behind. Comparison is the thief of joy, and we often, and I put myself in that bucket too, because I do it too sometimes. I catch myself, but I still do it. And so we oftentimes think that we should be further along than we are. And we compare ourselves to people who are not in our situations. There are a lot of married women with children who have a certain amount of success. And we see that and we're like, well, I'm not here yet, and I'm not there yet. And this person has this, and this person has that. And me personally, when I get into comparison mode, I stop myself. And I remind myself of all the things that I've been through that person probably couldn't even handle. And so it's just amazing when you feel like you're the only one and you realize that you're not. You're not the only one who feels like they're behind. But whose timetable are you working off of? Are you working off of yours, someone else's, or God's? Because oftentimes please don't come over here. Oftentimes we compare ourselves to people who first of all, y'all, they have husbands. They have help around the house. They have help in life, and a lot of single parents don't. I know some single parents who get help from their family, and I know some single parents like myself who don't get that help, who don't know what it's like to have that help. And doing something completely on your own, it hits a lot different than having a support system, than doing things where you have a support system. I see single parents who can leave their kids with their family instead of getting babysitters and or putting their kids in daycare. I didn't have that luxury. I see parents who share responsibility in the home and with the child. I don't have that. And so a lot of the times we are comparing ourselves to people who are not in the same situation that we're in. There are a lot of successful people who are single parents, and it took them time to get where they are. What I had to stress today to a particular person that I was having a conversation with was, you are not where they are because you don't have what they have. You don't have the luxury of having a husband. You don't have the luxury of having assistance with your children, going to, play dates and being able to, say, hey, I can't go to this play date on this date. Can you take our child there? You don't have the luxury of saying, yes, I have a 2-income household. And so you can't compare yourself to them because you're not living on the street. You have your own place. You have a car. You have all of these things. And so I need you to look at all the things that you have and just say that if this thing is something that you want, that you can work towards that, versus saying, oh, well, I don't have that. It's to me, it's a mindset change. It's the difference between not having it right now and not getting it at all. Sometimes we want things on our own time, but here's the thing. If you get something before you are ready, you're gonna mess it up. You're gonna mess it up. You're gonna mess it up. If I won the lottery 10 years ago, I'd have squandered that money. I didn't know what I know now about budgeting and investing. I didn't know what I know now about stocks. I didn't know what I know now about trust. I didn't know. The things that I didn't know would have blocked me from getting where I needed to be. When I first started my business, I took my own money and I did that. I didn't know nothing about using other people's money. I didn't know about having an EIN number and using that to leverage credit and getting business loans. And I didn't know any of that. I just didn't know. And so you can't blame yourself for what you didn't know then. What you can do is work towards getting something different than what you have now. Yes, I have this. Yes, at one point in time, I didn't have this and I prayed for this. Yes, I'm grateful for this. And now I'm not the same person that I was anymore. And so now the vision of what I want, the vision of what I see in my life has completely changed. And that is okay. It is okay to be a different person and want a different level of prosperity and a different level of abundance. I really think that even for myself, I got married at a very young age. And yes, I understand why, but that version of me no longer exists. What I would want from a marriage now is completely different than what I wanted from a marriage then. I learned so many things from that marriage. I learned how to be a wife. I learned how to be a support system for my husband. I learned how to cultivate that relationship. I learned, what I want out of a spouse, a partner, my best friend. There are things that I learned from the experience that I had. And I'm calling it an experience and not a mistake, because it's not a mistake because I learned from it. It's not a mistake because all the things that I learned that I wanted, this experience gave me that. It was like, oh, you thought you wanted this? Okay, well, here you go. Oh, well, I didn't want it in this way. What I want is this and this and this and this. And what I got is not this and this and this and this. And I learned that I also had to be more specific. So when you're saying what you want, be specific about what you want. I personally want time freedom. I want life freedom. I want a successful career. There are things that I want, but it took me to get what I didn't want to get so specific about what I do want. And so we had the conversation about, just understanding that there are stepping stones, and that if we get what we want before it's time, that we will self-sabotage. And we don't even do it on purpose. We literally, it's because it's out of habit. We squander what we don't appreciate. And how do you appreciate something if you've never had it before? And you've never gone through tough times before. And so we talked about how a lot of people who were born with silver spoons in their mouths, how they don't know how to function when they become adults. So part of our conversation was just about, having a support system so sturdy that whenever you fall, they got you. Life isn't really like that all the time. Things will happen, and if you don't catch you, then you're gonna fall. Some people have support systems where they have that net, where it's like, oh, if you can't pay your rent this month, I got you. If you end up homeless, you can come and stay with me. If you don't have food, I'll buy you food. Not everybody has those luxuries, and yes, they're luxuries. Excuse me. Yeah, they're luxuries. Not everyone is fortunate to have that. Some of us have had to grind it out. Some of us have had to fall on our face in order to learn the things that we've learned. When I had money, I didn't understand that I could leverage the money that I had for good credit, to help my credit, to help me build good credit. I didn't understand using other people's money. Like, it was a foreign concept to me. Now, baby, please. I know all about trust, and I'm not an expert, right? But if I was to win the lottery tomorrow, I literally wouldn't tell anyone. I would set up a trust. I would get a lawyer to accept the money on my behalf, right? I wouldn't want that money attached to my name in any way, shape, or form. Why? Because you hear stories about people who won the lottery and then they end up broke, who squandered their money. They gave to this person, gave to that person, paid off this person's debt, went on these trips and took a whole bunch of people with them and paid for everybody, and it was just like open buffet. I don't ever want to be that person. I literally wouldn't tell a soul. Not one. Why? Well, outside of the lawyer, you know what I'm saying? But why? Because I don't ever want anyone to be the reason why I end up back in a situation that is unfavorable. We help people sometimes to our own detriment. And that's what I'm saying, because I love, right? And I give with my all. And one thing that I've learned from reading all of these different articles about people who have won the lottery and ended up back broke, I think Oprah said it too. She was like, yeah, that's why people end up back broke, because it's a mindset. It's I'm going to spend this and spend this and spend this and spend, but they're not really counting what's going out, and they're not making sure that their money is working for them. So they don't have investments. They don't have, they don't have assets so that the money can come back to them. For example, real estate. I would never buy a single family house. I just wouldn't do it. For what? You instead of getting a single family home, you can get multifamily units and rent out the units and have income coming in, as well as enough income to pay you out something and cover the expenses for those units. That makes more sense to me. I would take money and I would put it in a high yield savings account so that my money can make money. Like, it's not 10 years ago, I didn't think about those things. 10 years ago, I didn't understand what I do about money. Thank you to Robert Kiyosaki and, oh Lord, I can't remember his name. I can see his face. Oh, crap. I can see his face. I can't remember his name. He's the one who, the snowball effect. So if you know who I'm talking about. It's gonna bother me, so I'm gonna look it up. Just hold on. Oh my god. Okay, this is not who I'm looking for. Okay, I know that. So, The Snowball by Warren Buffett. But there's another guy that he talks about the snowball effect in his book, and that's not who I'm looking for. So, it's fine. But the things that I know now, I didn't know then. So if I would have won the lottery 10 years ago, I probably would be broke right now. Because I didn't know how to manage that money, and I didn't know how to make my money work for me, and I didn't know about investments and stocks and bonds and trusts and how gold is gonna save us all. Like I didn't know these things. But now, the version of me now knows better. The version of me now, there are so many things that I would do differently than the version of me from 10 years ago. That being said, we all have to learn at our own capacity and on our own timing. And so you can never compare yourself to someone who has not walked in your shoes. You are doing the best that you can with what you have. And let that be okay. Let that be enough. And then build on that, stack on that. Do not allow someone else's picture perfect life dictate how you feel about your own. Because let me tell you, picture perfect, do you know how much work it takes to create a picture perfect moment? It takes work. It takes investment. It like when I was a photographer and I was doing my shoots, it was hair and makeup was included. You get a 4-hour session. I literally was putting in almost 80 hours per client. It was full boutique style. I help you pick out clothing. We talk about hairstyles. We talk about, for the people who wanted their hair done on set, they would come in early to get their hair done, and then they would get their makeup done, and then we would do the 4-hour session on top of everything else. So like, to get that picture perfect moment, it takes work. It takes effort behind the scenes. It doesn't just miraculously happen. So to create these cookie cutter moments is great, but just realize that their life is not all perfect. Everyone has things that they go through, and everyone handles them differently. What someone can handle in a 2-parent household with 2 incomes is completely different than what a single parent can do. And that's just reality. So looking at it like, oh, I'm behind, that's not helpful. It's not. It's actually very damaging to you and your self-esteem and your inner child, because basically what you're telling yourself is, all the work that I have put in is not good enough because it doesn't look like that. That's not fair. That's not fair to the version of you that got through all the crap. That's not fair to the version of you now who is doing the best that they can. And you put yourself down because, and some people don't even understand that they are literally putting themselves down by doing this. And this is the reason why I watch what I say and how I think when I'm in that moment, because I go back and I say, okay, this person has this, but I had this, and this, and it could have killed me, but I'm here. I went through this, and this, and I could have been in jail, but I'm not. I've got my own place. I've had it for 10 years. I have maintained that. I have always had a vehicle. This is the first time in 9 years that I haven't had a vehicle. And do I get upset with myself sometimes? Like, man, you shouldn't have sold both of your cars to get a car note. But then it's like, what I should have done and what actually happened are 2 different things. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I could have, I should have, I would have, but I didn't. I sold my cars to get a car note so that I could fix my credit. That went to hell, okay? I could move from this apartment and go into something that is rat and roach infested and lice infected but I'm not. I have my own place. I've maintained my own place for all of these years. I could be in a really messed up situation right now because I chose not to leave. But because I chose to leave, I'm better off. We all make decisions with the information that we have at the time. And so the decisions that we make at the time is what's best for us at that time. Now, what's best for you tomorrow and the day after, what's best for you a month from then, what's best for you a year from now, may be different than what's best for you right now, or what was best for you then. I need y'all to leave me alone. There are bees, and there is like 2 or 3 bees, and they just keep coming back. And again, I'm not about to get stung. So if you see me run, just know your girl is. I used to be allergic, and I'm no longer allergic. But the fact that I was hospitalized off of I think it was a wasp. I got was it a yellow jacket? It was some type of wasp. I got stung, and I ended up having to be hospitalized. And so I just don't do bees. So you may see me run off camera, but just know your girl ain't finna get stung, okay? So just knowing that we did the best that we could with what we had, and we are doing the best that we can with what we have, and let that be okay. Let that be enough. Because when it's not enough, you are telling your inner child that you're not good enough. You're not doing your best, or your best isn't good enough, and that's not okay. How we talk to ourselves, it affects us more than what we think it does. What most people don't know is that everything that comes out your mouth, your brain hears it. So if you're saying, I'm so fat, I'm always broke. Like, I've even stopped saying stuff like, oh, you kill me with that. I'm sorry, you did what now? But I didn't know these things before, and so I used to do them. And now I don't do them. And I have noticed a difference in me, because we think that it's just conversation. Oh, it's just a saying. It's just conversation. But your brain literally records everything that you say. And when you say stuff about yourself, oh, I can't learn this, I can't do that, you're telling yourself that you can't do it. So of course, why would you be able to do it? You literally tell yourself that you can't do something. So why would you be able to do it? In any shape, manner, or any shape or manner, why would you be able to do it if you're constantly telling yourself that you can't? If you're constantly saying, oh, I'll never get there, I'll never get that, oh, well, you're not going to get it. Why? Because you told yourself that you're never going to get it. We literally do not understand that the words that we speak are being used against us. We've been taught to speak so recklessly about ourselves, our lives, the things that we have, that we don't realize that we are cursing ourselves. Curse words are the least of your worries. Trust me on that. Your tongue is the sharpest sword on your body, because what you say comes to fruition. Whether it's now, 20 years from now, it's gonna come to fruition. And then you're gonna be sitting there like, oh, I didn't mean that, it was just a joke. Joke with somebody else's life and stop playing with yours. In school, they no longer teach cursive writing. Writing, in neuroscience, there is a connection between writing and your brain. Seeing, feeling, like all of these things. That's why they tell you, write it out, write out what you want, and read it back to yourself, right? Because there is a connection between what you write and what you hear, what you see and what you hear. There's always a connection. And so think about all the things that you used to wish and pray for. How many of those things did you actually get? Even if it isn't exactly how you wanted them, because you didn't specify. You just said, I wanted this thing. Oh, I want a boyfriend. And then you end up with a boyfriend that is a narcissistic, condescending jerk. Well, you wanted a boyfriend. You didn't say, I want a loving, compassionate, empathetic partner who I feel safe and supported with. You didn't say all that. You just said you wanted a boyfriend. And so when you ask for bare minimum, you get bare minimum. If you don't care and you just asking for stuff and then you get it and then you don't realize, oh, this is what I actually asked for. But because I wasn't specific enough, I got what I got. Having that conversation with her today, with the young woman that I spoke to today, just reminded me of having this conversation. I have this conversation with people all the time, but it just reminded me of how single parents don't really get the help that they truly deserve. And I hope that one day I am able to create a program to just assist single parents, whether it's carpooling. If you have kids that go to the same school, one parent taking them Monday through Friday and then the next parent volunteering for the next week. Like, I want to have a network of people that are willing to help single parents, because the appointments, the schooling, the all the things. Right now I'm worried about if I get a full-time job and something happens with my son because I don't have a car, how am I going to be able to navigate? Because listen, transferring my son in the middle of the school year, him getting, accustomed to the people, to the teachers, like, I just kept getting calls and I'm like, okay, well, what happens if that keeps happening? Am I going to lose my job because I have a child that it has ADHD, and instead of helping him and cultivating a relationship with him so that he will talk to them, they just want to dismiss him and say, oh, he's just a problem child, he's just a problem. I don't like when people put labels on our children like that, because it's like, hey, he's not a problem child. There are certain things that he just doesn't like. He doesn't like bullies. He doesn't like when someone lies on him. He doesn't like, there are certain things, like my child is very particular about certain things. And knowing that the people in the school don't seem to care enough to get to know him, and they have just taken the ADHD label and just labeled him as a problem child, that pisses me off. And I know that there are going to be times where I'm going to have to go up to the school. It's frustrating because I also want to work. You know what I'm saying? I don't have help in that. If I had a network, I could say, all right, well, I can talk to the school another day, but can somebody go and pick my son up and drop him off at home, or take him to the daycare, or whatever the situation may be? Just having a support system, even having just maybe weekly check-ins with the parents, like, hey, how are you this week? How is your mental health? Is there anything that you need help with? Do you need food? Do you need me to connect you with a resource? Do you need help getting back and forth to your appointments for you and or for the children? Right? Because as parents, we neglect ourselves to make sure that our kids have, especially as a single parent, we often put ourselves to the side because all of this other stuff has to be done and nobody else is going to do it but us. It's frustrating, and I wish that I had a way to help my people, like, because being a single parent is not easy. It's very frustrating when you're a single parent to children with disabilities. That is a whole nother ball game. And so that's why I was telling her, like, yo, you cannot compare what you have to what they have, because they have a spouse, they have a partner, they have two incomes, they have someone who's like, hey, listen, I can't get, if you can't get off of work, I got you. I'm gonna pick up our child from, I'm gonna take our child to play dates, I'm gonna do this and do that. You don't have that. So stop beating yourself up for something that you don't have. What can you do about it? Nothing. Oh, but you need help doing your child's hair for school, because school starts soon? I got you. I will do what I can when I can for the people that I know. But I just wish that I was able to help more people and figure out what all of us are dealing with and find a way to help each other. The world has taught us every man for themselves. That is a lie, because it really, really, really does take a village. It takes a village, it takes community, it takes support. And our ancestors, they knew that. That's why they would travel together. That's why, they would live in villages. So this every man for themselves thing is just not something that I agree with personally, because I know that it takes community to raise children. It takes community to even be. Success is nothing if it's just you by yourself, because you can't share your success if it's just you by yourself. I don't want that type of success. I want to be so abundant that I am able to help other people. And I have been very, very fortunate that while I may not be able to help monetarily, I am able to help with resources, information, like if people that I know, like I'll do their kids' hair for free. Like, even if it's, because I braid, so even if it's not braiding, like, if you need help in, like, so there's a woman, she has 4 kids, and she's like, yo, I have hair to do every day, and I'm just like, why you don't call me? You need help. Why didn't you just call? She's like, well, I know that you're dealing with a lot, and I didn't want to put anything more on your plate. Helping you do hair is the least of my worries, sweetheart. If you need help getting these babies' hair done, then just call me. Call me and come and get me, and we will work on it together. It's really just that simple. So at the end of the day, it really does take community. It takes support systems. It takes a village. And when we compare ourselves to people who have the support that we don't have, we are doing ourselves a very, very, very big disservice. So if you're going through something right now and you don't have support, I understand. If you're going through something right now and you do have support, be grateful. Be grateful. Count your lucky stars, as my grandma says, because you could be someone who doesn't have that. If you have help, if you have children and you have help with your children, be grateful for that, because not everybody has that. If you don't have to worry about paying your rent this month, be grateful, because not everybody is as fortunate. We have to be grateful for the things that we have, even when it may not be what we want. I love being able to help people, man. And I don't know what it is. Acts of service. That really fulfills me. Seeing other people do better and be better fulfills me. And I know that I am supposed to be someone who helps other people. I'm gonna leave it like that. I know that I'm supposed to help, and that is the way that I give back. And I cannot wait until I am in a position to actually be able to do that to a higher capacity than what I can do now. Always be grateful for what you have, and know that it is okay to also want more. Well, I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.